everybody, my name is Raven, that's Jasper, this is October, and welcome back to our channel. Subscribe to become part of the hive. Be sure to like and ring the notification bell. Thanks, honeybees. Enjoy the video. Meow! Okay, so I'm working on my best and worst movies that I saw in 2022. And I talked about a lot of the movies that I saw over the course of last year, but there's a couple that I didn't really get to, so I'm making a couple separate shorter videos to kind of catch up with those. I also noticed I've been posting a lot of like hour-long content recently, so I thought these would be good to also like break that up because not everybody likes hour-long videos, so... So a movie I wanted to talk about is The Whale. I saw The Whale when it came out in theaters, which wasn't that long ago, so it's still pretty fresh in my brain, and I just have yet to get around to talking about it, and I wanted to say that I actually really enjoyed it. I was kind of expecting to. I thought I was going to at least appreciate it as a good movie, even if I didn't personally like it, but I did always think it was going to be good, and it was. I think it actually maybe exceeded my expectations, but to be fair, I didn't really go in with any certain expectations. I wasn't really sure what to expect from it other than, it's about Brendan Fraser as this, morbidly obese man. And I didn't really know anything else that was going to happen to it. I knew that Sadie Sink played his daughter. I didn't really know what to expect from their relationship or anything about the story, just anything in general, honestly. I don't even know if I watched the trailer before seeing the movie. I definitely saw it afterwards. Yeah, I did. I really liked it. And I know that there's a lot of complaints about this movie, that it's like insensitive towards like morbidly obese people and other things like that. But I thought it was actually pretty realistic in that sense. Not to be like cheesy, but I've seen a lot of My 600-Pound Life. And it seemed accurate to the experience of an extremely heavy person, honestly. You're probably not going to be too social because if it's hard to walk around with all that weight on your body, to maintain that weight, you have to eat a lot. You have to eat quite a bit of not so great foods, or just like a lot of food in general, regardless of whether it's good food or bad food, And your relationships with your friends and family are probably affected by what you can and can't do and the life you live as an extremely heavy person. So I thought all of that was portrayed rather accurately, at least to what I imagine that experience is like. That being said, it is also definitely just a miserable movie. Like, if I had to choose a word to describe the tone, it would be miserable. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I often say that about the movie Hereditary. That was an extremely miserable movie, but damn it if it wasn't good, Well acted, the story was interesting, it was scary, it was compelling, it made me squeamish for Hereditary. And The Whale was pretty similar in that sense. It's just not a horror movie, it's a drama. So I felt the same, just in the realm of it being a drama rather than a horror. It is sad. A lot of bad things happened in our lead character's life that are, many of which are his own doing, and some aren't. That all comes together in this just like miserable existence, honestly. And so the story is just about that. He's at a point where he's trying to fix himself, but maybe he's been trying to fix himself in his life for a while and it just hasn't been working. He's trying, but he's also at the same time giving up. So basically what happens is Brendan Fraser, I'm going to just call them all by their actors' names because it's too hard for me to keep track of who's who. But Brendan Fraser's character, he lives alone in this apartment. He's a teacher. He teaches online and his camera is always off. And he's this morbidly obese guy. I don't know if they don't say exactly how much he weighs, but it's obvious that it's at least like 500, 600 pounds. He uses a walker to kind of get around, but most of the time he just sits on his couch. We see him ordering 2 pizzas just to eat by himself multiple times in a week. He's got a drawer full of candy, He has a friend who's a nurse who brings him food and also tries to take care of him when he's not doing so well. He's got breathing problems. He's got heart problems. Everything that you could imagine comes with being that size. And he is trying to reconnect with his daughter, mainly because he thinks he's going to die soon. So rather than try to fix it, which we see little inklings of him, trying to turn away something unhealthy or do something better, and then just immediately changes his mind and goes and eats that candy bar anyway or what have you. So he tries to reconnect with his daughter, who he left when she was 8 years old. We find out that he had a wife and child who was 8 at the time and left them for one of his male students who was of age, but still it was one of his students. And then we find out that his boyfriend ended up dying a few years after that, and he just let everything go. He was so depressed. He'd always been a big guy, but this was after that death, he just stopped caring and is basically eating himself into an early grave. And because of that, he reconnect with his daughter, who is like a teenager now. I don't remember if they said exactly how many years it has been, but she's probably around like 15, 16, maybe 17. So it's been a while. And she comes over and she's just a mean, miserable child, but that makes sense given her history. And we also do meet his ex-wife, her mom. The daughter is, of course, played by Sadie Sink. And then the mother is just this alcoholic who I guess hasn't really gotten over it that her husband left her for a younger man and is now morbidly obese and dying. Which, that'd be a hard thing to get over. She obviously hasn't had therapy, or at least enough therapy to deal with it, and it's rubbed off on her daughter. So the mom is quite miserable and believes that their daughter is like actually evil and just a really bad, mean, horrible girl, and she doesn't try really to do anything to change it. So it makes sense why their daughter is like that. And he tries to help as best he can. He tries to encourage her. Obviously, she's offended that he's trying to parent her after all this time. And there's a lot of tension in that relationship, as you can imagine.
You're an amazing person, Ellie. I couldn't ask for a more incredible daughter.
Are you actually trying to parent me right now?
And, the tension also seems quite realistic. Of course, your dad comes out of the woodwork after 8, 9, 10 years after just leaving you and wants to reconnect and is trying to tell you that you have such potential and you need to go back to school. And she's just not hearing it, obviously. And she's being mean to him, but, he understands. And
who would want me to be a part of their life?
It's this whole really difficult relationship, and it's difficult to watch, but at the same time, I was rooting for them to just like get somewhere and work it out, because I felt sorry for her, as she's been through a hard time, he's been through a hard time, and they're connecting over that and in a way helping each other out of it, whether either of them know it or not. And that's like kind of the main focus of the movie. There's also tension between his daughter and his friend.
You haven't seen her since she was 8 years old, and you're gonna reconnect with her?
Sorry.
I don't like this. This isn't a good idea. Why do you suddenly need to see her so bad? Why now?
Liz.
Who we find out his friend, the nurse who helps take care of him, was the sister of his boyfriend. So she has lost a brother. She's not trying to lose her friend. And so she yells at him and is very upset at him for the choices he is making, but she is also very actively enabling him by bringing him these bad foods and helping him when, he chokes or, has heart problems, and she treats him and then just continues to bring him whatever he wants. So it's a very interesting codependent relationship that's just not getting any better for either of them.
I'm sorry.
You say you're sorry one more time, I will shove a knife right into you, I swear to God.
Go ahead. What's it gonna do? My internal organs are 2 feet in at least.
And so there's a lot of there's an interesting dynamic there. There's a lot of layers to it that I appreciated. It was good to watch and unpack and just think about how all these different people coming together at this time got to this moment, got to this era and time, and the mistakes and choices they had to make to get there. And it was all just very interesting. It was very compelling. There is this Mormon character who comes in and out throughout the movie to not Mormon, but this missionary character, sorry, not necessarily from Mormonism, but for a different church that actually we find out Brendan Fraser's boyfriend and friend used to belong to, and he was shunned from the church and ended up either being killed by some of its members or possibly killing himself. I could be misremembering that point exactly, but basically his sister blames the church for the death. So there's this whole different thing going on there, and the missionary just keeps coming back And Sadie Sink gets a hold of him and plays weird mind games with him and tries to get him to admit what he's doing there and why he's trying so hard to save her father. And so there's another weird little relationship there that's also very intense yet compelling. And we find out some stuff about his past. I don't want to spoil everything in this movie because I do recommend it if you haven't seen it. Just go in there knowing that it's not a feel-good situation. You're definitely probably not going to feel great at the end of the movie. I know I didn't, but I still thought it was really good. And honestly, Brendan Fraser was by far the best part.
I need to know that I have done one thing right with my life.
Not that the other actors didn't do good, but he was definitely the best. And it's not just because of the prosthetics that I forgot that he was Brendan Fraser acting. He just felt so real. He, no pun intended, embodied that character for sure. But I mean, also the prosthetics were amazing and completely convincing, but it wasn't just that made me overlook that this was just an actor in a movie. He was phenomenal. He was incredible, and he was such a kind man in the film, even like knowing that he had made these mistakes and hurt all these people in his life. He is also hurt and trying to be better in that respect, and also, you know, just very believable. I really liked Brendan a lot in this movie. Sadie Sink, same way. She had a really good emotional range. You could tell she was angry. She was just an angry child, and that made sense why she would be that way and why she would act the way she is, even when she's being really, really mean to her father. It's like, that makes sense. He kind of deserves it. So it was all a lot to think about. There's no like good character. There's no good relationship, good circumstance in the movie. It's all kind of gray area. Like, he's a nice guy, but we know he's hurt people. She's an angry little bully child, but she has reason to be, you know what I'm saying? So, and that was all very interesting, that we didn't really have a hero. It was hard not to root for the characters, but also what are we rooting for them to do? You know, if that makes any sense. Basically what I'm saying is him as a protagonist, he's a sympathetic protagonist. We feel for him, but he has a lot of faults. Every character does. Every character is extremely faulted, but we still have sympathy for them. At least I did. It was complicated. We'll just say it was very complicated, but not confusing. It's just there was a lot going on, and it was all just very interesting to watch. I really enjoyed myself watching the movie. I would have thought that I would be bored in some parts because it's slow. It takes place all in one place. It takes place all in Brendan Fraser's apartment because he can't really leave, and so everybody in the movie comes to him and interacts with each other or with him. And that's also how we get a lot of exposition just from these characters talking. I thought the execution of exposition was really good, not obvious. Like, there were times where it was like, you left me when I was 8 years old and you're trying to parent me now, and it's like, yeah, obvious, but that's, you know, if that happened to me, I'd probably say the same way. Like, you left me when I was a child and now you want to parent me? Like, I feel like that's something that someone would say in that situation. So therefore, you know, realistic exposition. They didn't they let us know what was going on. They also didn't explain, they didn't over-explain. They gave us just enough. Just what we needed to know to understand where we're at in the film. And I really appreciated that. We didn't need every single detail. In any story, you don't need to know every bit about everyone's past and what their likes and dislikes are and certain parts of their personality and histories and relationships. You just need to know enough so that the story makes sense where it's at, so that you understand what's going on. And they gave us exactly that, which was great. Definitely a huge plus in this movie. Yeah, all in all, The Whale, I thought, was very good. I guess I can see how it can upset certain people, but sometimes when you're faced with something that is just a little bit too real, even if it's not a situation that applies to you, but regardless, it's uncomfortable, it's real, you don't really want to face that this is a thing, that these are things that happen to people and choices that certain people choose to make. Being faced with that can kind of be upsetting and off-putting. and therefore you might not like it for those reasons. I definitely understand that. There's plenty of movies that I think are good as films, but the message themselves are just too uncomfortable for me, and so for that reason I don't like the movie. So if that's a certain person's stance on The Whale, I get it, but I really liked it, and I would definitely watch it again just to see if I could pick up on any more nuances. But yeah, it was just, all in all, I thought it was enjoyable, regardless of it being miserable, like I said before. So yeah, if you saw this movie, let me know what you thought about it below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you feel in between about it? You know, I would love to hear different perspectives. If you agree with me, if you disagree, I would totally want to know. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. If it sounds like something that you would enjoy, watch it. If it sounds like something that might make you uncomfortable, you know, I would still recommend giving it a shot, you know, just to see, because it is just genuinely, I thought, a very good movie. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Thanks for watching, honeybees. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye! Meow!